Now we will simply write down below. In here we will create a square login button. So let's go and do that. First we will create some height between the forget password and the login square button. So below this line, in here we will say size box, and we will give the height 10. Add the const modifier to the size box. Now right down in here we will say material button. There we go. We will remove that. We will just add it in a while. Put in here comma and tag this down in here. Now on press event we will leave this empty for now. We will work on that later. First we will create a design for the login button. So in here we will set the color. We will go with the colors.cyan. That's fine. And we will set the elevation. We will set it to 8, and right after we will set the shape. Okay, so in here we will say round rectangle border. There we go. And in there what we will do, we will simply set the border radius, and we're gonna make that circle like square, and it's gonna be 13. Put comma, and now right down below in here we will say child, and right in the child we will do some padding as usual for that button login, and in there we will say padding edge insect. We will go with the symmetric, and we will set the vertical to 14, and right after we will say child. We will have a raw widget right in there, and now we will set some properties. First one will be main axis alignment. We will set it to center, main axis alignment, so it's going to be right in the center. And then we will say children, and right in the children we will have that text for that button login. So in here we will say login. Now we will do some styling for that to make it more beautiful. So in there text style as usual. In there we will set the color. We will go with the colors dot white, and right after let's set the font weight. It's gonna be bold. Bold. That's fine. And at the end we will set the size, so it's gonna be 20 font size. Put comma, and now you will add the const modifier right in here, and also right to this text. All good. Now simply press the Ctrl S and see output. There we go with the login button. It's in a beautiful shape, as I tell you. Now simply whenever the user will click on that login button, then we will simply submit the login. For example, their email and password, there will be the authentication for that. So now, as I tell you, right in here, right on the on press, it's empty for now. First we will go right at top and we will create a method. So let's go and do that. Right above the widget build, there we go with the widget build, and right above in here. So we're gonna say void. So we're gonna make that method private, and we will give the name as a submit form login, or let's say on login. So this will be asynchronous. So in here async, now, and basically asynchronous function is a function that return the type of a feature. And we also put await right in front of an asynchronous function. We will do that in a while, you guys will see, just for making the subsequent lines waiting for that future result. So writing this method, now we will simply say and create a final, name this as a is valid. So in this you will simply assign the login form key with dot current state null check dot validate. So it's gonna assign that to this is valid, and if the login is successful, then what we will do, we will simply check if is valid. It is valid, then what we will do, we will simply write in here, write in the systat in the semicolon. So we will take this down, and first we will go right at top and create a bool type is loading. So in here we will say bool type, and we're going to name this is loading. There we go, and we're going to set this to false. Now we will use that. Let's go back. Here's a state right in here. We will say is loading, and we will set this to true. If the login is valid, then right in the system we set the loading to true, and then right after we will simply say it in here try, and in try we will simply say await, and first we will create an instance for the Firebase auth. So right at top we will go, and in here we will say final Firebase auth. There we go. Gonna name this as a auth authentication, and in which we will simply create that instance for the Firebase auth. Now we're gonna use that. Let's go down in here, auth dot sign in with an email and password. Is going to tag that properties. First we will remove it, and in here semicolon, take this down. Now first it's going to take the email, and in here we will say email controller, that one that we just created before, text controller for the email dot text, and we will say trim. This trim just gonna make the string data without any leading and trial white space, and right after that we will set it to a lowercase. There we go. Let's find that in here. Now simply for the password we will say pass text controller dot text dot trim. So it's gonna authenticate the user with the email and password, as you guys can see right in here. Right after, in here we will say navigator dot can pop contacts, gonna tag that, and then we will say if navigator dot pop. This will remove the dialog box, and right after that else. So in here we will say no. Now let me explain that. So if there will be any kind of dialog box, if it's can pop, then right in the if we will simply remove that dialog box with the help of navigator.pop contacts. It will remove that. Or if it didn't happen, then write in else, as you guys can see we return no. So there's gonna be nothing then.